Yeah, welcome to another biology lesson where we continue by discussing the characteristics of flowering plants. If you may recall, in the last lesson, we discussed about flowering and non-flowering plants, and then we further discussed the characteristics of non-flowering plants. In this lesson, we'll discuss characteristics specifically of flowering plants. You are with me, Joy Chapusa. Stay there. Yeah, characteristics of flowering plants. So flowering plants are plants which produce flowers. Are plants which produce flowers. That's why are regarded as flowering plants. And flowers contain reproductive structures which produce seeds. So all flowering plants, they have flowers, and inside those flowers we have reproductive structures. As those reproductive structures, they happen to produce the seeds, which they happen to reproduce further to new plants. Yeah. So flowering plants are divided into two main groups. One, we have the monocotyledons and the dicotyledons. Yeah. So flowering plants have true leaves. They have true leaves, and then they have well-developed stems and roots. These flowers, or these flowering plants, they are very common and they are locally available. You can find them at least in any environment. Now, out of that environment, you'll find that some are regarded as monocots or monocotyledons, and some are regarded as dicotyledonous. So, for you to understand monocots and dicots, you need to know their differences from what I am going to explain. Now, let us start with the monocotyledons. How can you know that this is a flowering plant, but it is under the category of having the monocotyledons? So, the monocotyledons have seeds which have one cotyledon. They have seeds which have got one cotyledon. If you harvest a seed from any type of a plant, and that seed has got one cotyledon, then that seed is regarded as a monocotyledons. Then they have narrow leaves which have parallel veins. So they have narrow leaves with the parallel veins. Parallel veins, which means the leaf has got veins, and those veins are parallel to the mid margin, so that you could not find a very big network on that. Then they have a fibrous root system. A fibrous root system, all the roots, they develop from the base of that stem, the base of the stem of that tree. All of those roots, they develop from that base of the stem. And then you may have a very good example of a monocot, which is maize. So here I have a diagram of a plant, which is a maize plant. So this part is where we have the part of the flower, and then here we have the leaves, and here we have the roots, which we call them the fibrous roots. If you may observe closely, you'll find that all these roots, they are developing from the base of the tree. And then the leaves, they have the type of veins which are parallel to each other. They seem not to meet. Despite being a leaf, at a certain time, it has the ending where you have the apex, but at this case, we regard the more space, which is more like having the leaves, the veins, which are almost parallel. Yeah, so this is a demonstration of the monocotyledons as a type of a flowering plant. Yeah, now let us discuss about the dicotyledons. These dicotyledons are plants whose seeds have two cotyledons. And they have broad leaves which have network veins. Their veins are connected without a proper pattern like what we have in the parallel venations. And then they have a taproot system where a root develops from the stem, going as long as deep as it can go, and then there are some branches of those roots which grow from that wrong root. So examples might include beans, mangoes, jacaranda. There are so many, just to mention very few from them. So this is a plant, a bean seedling, which demonstrate the diacots. Now here we have a developing seedling, which could surely show you the two cotyledons. These are the two cotyledons that these two shows that this is a dye. Yeah, so here we have some of the parts like the leaves, and then down here we have the root system, which is regarded as the taproot, whereby we have the long roots with the other branches of roots developing along that root. So these are some of the parts which you can see for you to understand a dicotyledonous plant. Now, furthermore, we can look at external features of flowering and non-flowering plants. We can look at external features of flowering and non-flowering plants. There are so many things which can still help us to understand what are flowering and non-flowering plants just by looking at some of the external features which you can hardly see with your naked eyes. So external features of flowering and non-flowering plants might include the leaves. Both might have leaves, but in flowering plants we may say they have true leaves, where in non-flowering plants most of them they have no true leaves. Then the roots and the root-like structures, so such kind of things you can also see from flowering and non-flowering. Then the flowers only have to be found in flowering plants, and the stems. So these could be some of the external features which you could see from the flowering and non-flowering plants. Yeah, we have just shared the parts of external parts of flowering and non-flowering plants. When looking into flowering plants in particular, is where we have parts which have different variations. So parts of flowering plants have different variations. So you come across whereby you see leaves of monocots are usually elongated and their veins are parallel. In the diacots, the leaves are less elongated and their veins or the veins are networked. And furthermore, you may also have realized that the leaves of monocots are attached to the leaves of the nodes by use of the shelf. The leaves alternate each other. If you may go back to what we had as our diagram of monocots, you could also notice that the leaves are alternate to each other. In diacots, leaves are arranged by use of the petals of the nodes. So that is in only the diacots, and some are arranged oppositely, while others are arranged alternating. Yeah, so monocot root system are fibrous, while diacot root system is that what we call the taproot. Is that what we call the taproot system. So these are some of the variations that you can see in flowering plants. The parts are there, while these parts are there, but when you come specifically to flowering plants, you will notice that they have this kind of differences where you should not take them as one. These are divided into two, where we have the monocots and the diacots. Further discussion tells us that we should discuss about so now we can see various features which you can see them in leaves of plants. So this is a display of various features which you can see them in different kind of plant leaves. So you can study them and see them properly, and you can also make their differences as you see. See them properly so that you can also make their differences. Yeah, so after we have looked at the features of leaf of plants, We can now discuss about various types of leaf arrangement in plants. Remember, these leaves are arranged differently according to the type of that plant. So here we have a variety of plant types and their leaf arrangements. So you can have this type of an arrangement which is regarded as alternative leaf arrangement, and here we have the opposite leaf arrangement and the whole leaf arrangement. Furthermore, so upon discussing about the types of leaf arrangement in plants, we can also discuss various types of flower arrangements in plants. Different plants, they have got different kind of flowers, and they have also different looks. So these are some of the flowers. We can see them from flowering plants, just to show you very few, but there are so many kinds of flowers in your environment. So just to show you very few examples, here could be some of the examples of flowers which you might see them from flowering plants. You can observe them closely, and these are what could be the examples of flower arrangements in plants. Yeah, so thank you very much for being there. I have to say next time we meet, we'll discuss about habitants of different groups of plants. Habitants of different groups of plant. Thank you very much for taking a biology lesson. Thank you.